Key lessons from the book Buy Now: Creative Marketing that Gets Customers to Respond to You and Your Product. The book basically covers infomercials and direct response marketing. And what I particularly love about this book is that it contextualizes when direct marketing is and is not particularly effective, unlike other direct marketing gurus who just say it's fundamentally better than brand marketing. It really depends on the context. Now, the author has generated millions in revenue very quickly. So, for example, he generated 18 million in 1.5 years with the weight loss product New Day. He also talks about some other very popular products that you would have heard of, such as the George Foreman grill. Another example he talks about at a small scale is spending $4,000 in media and generating $12,000 in revenue. So we're talking about high ROI marketing, and let's dive into it. Now, direct response and infomercials rely on products with a unique selling proposition. Now, a lot of people in marketing believe that every product has a unique selling proposition, and if it doesn't, it should. That's not true. There are certain products that have unique selling propositions, and those are ones that are going to benefit from infomercial type direct response marketing. So, what does that mean? That means you have a superior technology, there's some sort of novelty associated with your product, or there's some sort of design innovation. So often what this means is the products that benefit most from direct response are essentially new products that haven't yet been copied or adopted by competitors. So it's kind of like a new product category, and perhaps one where you don't actually have a sustainable competitive advantage. It's a temporary advantage because you have some sort of new technology. Now, in some cases, if it's protected by patents, you may have an enduring competitive advantage, but usually not. Now, other things that benefit from direct response are when you have a high price point and you solve an urgent problem. So, something where people feel like they need to buy now. A lot of marketers try to apply direct response tactics to low priced items like perhaps toilet paper, and it just doesn't work. So, what ends up happening is they just say you need to sell high ticket prices. And the reason is because they don't know how to do marketing at scale with low price products. If you have a product that costs $20 to build and can capture a retail of only $40, you are out of the direct response business before you start. So that's the context you need to understand. So you could spend $10 to make a product and sell it for $40. That's a good situation. You could spend $100 to make a product and sell it for $300. Again, a good situation. But a product costs $20 and you sell it for $40, not a good situation, especially because we're dealing with variable costs with direct response marketing in a lot of cases, and you're just fundamentally not going to be profitable if your cost of goods sold is too high. Now, infomercials are particularly effective when you have mass appeal that can be marketed to perhaps 80% of the public at large. The less you need a product or the less actual differences there are between one brand and another, the more emotionally targeted, celebrity dependent, or humorous advertising gets. That is because the products do not have their own unique selling proposition or USP. The advertising tries to be the differentiator. And that's really what happens in mature markets is competitors copy one another and basically they end up looking very similar. So the way that you dominate markets are by differentiating through advertising, through familiarity, through awareness. But there are some special cases where you actually have an important USP, and that's where direct response marketing is going to be effective. Now, I want to add my own point here, which is that marketers often try way too hard to come up with a USP that customers don't value. And we have extensive research showing this. The customers don't always want to buy something that's different. They just want something that meets the basic requirements for that product category. Now, the basic formula you want to follow with your ads, your infomercials, etc., is number one, explain the problem. Number two, offer solution. Very simple. So, for example, want to be healthier and live longer? Drink fresh juice. That's how you sell juicer. Want whiter teeth, a better dental checkup, and healthier teeth and gums? Get Sonicare. Want to cook a hamburger to perfection in half the time? Get a George Foreman grill. Simple formula. Now, let's elaborate on this a little bit more because you need to give people enough information to make a buying decision. With direct response marketing, that means the more you tell, the more you sell. That's a popular adage. Number one, explain the problem. Number two, introduce the solution. Three, resolve questions. So these might be objections, concerns, reasons why they don't believe what you're saying is true. And number 4, offer testimonial, especially real testimonials and real testimonials from experts such as doctors. One of the big reasons infomercials fail, and I would say copywriting fails, is because people don't believe what they're hearing and seeing. And one of the ways you overcome this is get the host that people trust. So perhaps a popular influencer that you found on SparkToro or on YouTube or wherever, maybe a popular celebrity. The other thing I will add here is that specifics make what you're saying more believable. Concrete specifics, case studies, examples, etc. Now, the other thing that you can try doing with your infomercial style marketing is teach. So, an example here is this juicing product where Jay does an excellent job not just selling his product, but teaching you about the benefits, the health benefits of juice. And he even published some books on this matter. He's doing these seminar type videos where he's explaining the benefits. He's educating you. He's not just selling you, and he's doing it through entertaining demonstrations. All marketing is bad, of course, unless it is for something I want and need. So, one of the tactics that tends to work in direct response, this is my own point, is cheesy, kind of gimmicky type of marketing where it sounds a bit too salesy, like the sham wow guy. Um, and it's really a turnoff. But if that's something you really need and it's talking about a problem that you have and that's urgent to you, it's going to resonate with you. It just seems bad from the perspective of someone that would never buy that particular product. Most advertising is ineffective, goes unnoticed, and is lacking in creativity. I would agree with this. I think one of the fundamental problems with ads is they don't actually associate it with the brand. So people don't even remember that that ad was for your particular product. So that's one of the reasons it's ineffective. Also, it just doesn't get through the first barrier, which is breaking through the noise and getting noticed. People just scroll through and never actually watch or hear what you have to say. Direct response has the constant unique element of almost always pointing out a problem or a need. And that's not always what you're doing with brand marketing. Often with brand marketing, you're just entertaining and helping people remember your brand, not necessarily focusing on pain points. But that's typically what you do in direct response. And later, when I give you a formula, I'm going to talk about how you just are constantly repeating the problem or the pain. And it's typically for products that can't be understood in under 30 seconds when you need to do something like a long form infomercial instead of just a 30-second ad that you could run on YouTube or TV. Another key thing that might surprise you is that brands can be built with direct response. So I have an example here of George Foreman. Now, eventually you're going to expand to retail and probably do broader advertising, but you can build 10 million, 20 million revenue brands quite quickly using fundamentally direct response marketing. Now, of course, it's not really going to work if you're at extremely low price point, but you're selling a product for say $100, $200, you can do direct response. Now, here are some examples in the book that talk about some simple marketing funnels. So, number one, you could do something like a radio interview, or today, perhaps podcast interviews might be more likely. And then at the end or somewhere in the interview, you give a 1-800 number where people can request more information. So, it's not overly aggressive of an offer. And then what you do is you send them a brochure with detailed information about your product, maybe some sort of special offer. Very simple 3-step formula. Another formula that was used to sell that juicing product was you provide an educational infomercial where you're talking about the benefits, say, of juicing, health benefits. And then what you do is you push people from the infomercial to a live seminar where you're incorporating experts. So, for example, doctors, and then you ask for the sale. So it's a 3-step process. You're not just constantly pushing people to buy. You're pushing the educational information, the seminar, and then finally the offer to actually buy, which could be a bundle, perhaps the product packaged with some books or CDs, something like that. Now, one of the problems as you expand is you might be in retail and you might also be doing direct response. So, what you want to do is sell your most expensive unit with direct response generally and sell the cheaper one in retail. And one easy way to get the price point high is with a bundle. So, for example, you can bundle your product with books and other educational materials. So, you have a price segmentation based on the channel where your product is being sold, direct or through retail. Now, when launching a new product, one of the key things you want to do is get key opinion leaders to endorse your product. So I did this one time when I launched a new video game under a new brand. What I did was I worked with a lot of influencers in that particular product category of video games and got them to play the game, to like the game, to promote the game. The example here is Sonicare, a very expensive electric toothbrush. It was expensive at the time. One way that they were able to properly launch it was to get deans of prestigious dental schools to endorse it and to educate consumers about gum disease. So it's not just about selling, it's also about building credibility and educating. Another key barrier where direct response and infomercial style marketing isn't going to work is when you're not actually solving an urgent problem. So the example in the book is a bagel maker. Nobody really struggles with an urgent need to make bagels. It's not an urgent purchase thing, so it's not going to be particularly effective with direct response type marketing. It might be particularly effective, this is my own point, by SEO optimization for Amazon, for example. So you're targeting people that are actively searching for bagel maker rather than just everybody at large. Now, you're also going to run into more complicated situations, or maybe you have different buyers who are buying perhaps for slightly different reasons. So, one way to overcome this is to create different videos for those audiences. Arrow Garden, for example, had 4 different videos for 4 different audiences: moms, home chefs, avid gardeners, and floral decorators. And what they did for each of these videos is they had a dramatized member of each group describing their problem and then pitching the solution. Another very effective technique is to show before and after to prove that what you're saying is true, to show that it's true. Incredible. There are 6 different infomercial styles that you might want to use, whether you're running an infomercial on TV or maybe on YouTube or perhaps even on Facebook. And number one, host interviews an expert. So you have somebody interview an expert, perhaps a doctor or a researcher, an academic, something like that. You also do a style that looks like a daytime women's talk show. So it doesn't actually look like an infomercial or an ad. It just looks like people chatting and discussing a new thing that came out. 3 is a straight up demonstration. 4 is a story commercial. Now, this is a risky approach, but it might be effective in your case. This is where we use fictional characters experiencing problems. I did this effectively when I was marketing software, where I used an animation and a fictional character. 5 is a host tour. This is where the host goes out to maybe a house or an outdoors to show the effectiveness of the product in context. And 6 is reality. This is where we're using things like consumer generated reviews, real people using the product and perhaps them recording themselves on their iPhones. Now, here's the basic anatomy of an infomercial. 1, opening disclaimer, which may be required by the regulations in your area, like the FTC. Number 2 is the tease. It's 1 to 3 minutes where you're bringing up pain points. You're asking questions like, are you seeing more wrinkles? You talk about the benefits. You talked about the USP, the unique selling proposition. And 3 is the show body, where you get in the meat of what you're saying. And I'll elaborate on this later. And here is a more elaborate example. So, opening disclaimer, the tease. Perhaps it's 2 minutes where you set up and explain the USP. 3 is Act 1. You talk about the problem, the solution, the USP, you demo the product, you give a testimonial, you give an expert testimonial. Again, you repeat the problem, the solution, and the offer. Act 2, once again, you're repeating the problem, the solution, the USP, you demo the product, you give a testimonial, another testimonial, demo the product again, talk about the problem, again, talk about the solution, and then you bring up the offer. And lastly, Act 3, you demo the product, you recap the offer with some sort of urgency, like if you don't buy in the next 2 weeks, you won't get the bundle or the add-ons, or maybe you're running out of stock, something like that, and you offer testimonials. This is a basic formula for a typical infomercial style video. Now, some specific tips. Explain costs and aggravation. So, for example, it might be embarrassment. Maybe you have some sort of medical thing. It's embarrassing to go to a professional. Maybe the professional also works with your friends. So that's the kind of pain you want to overcome. And okay, that can be solved easily just by calling and ordering or going to this landing page and ordering. Your offer must feel like a relief. It's a pain reliever. It's not just a vitamin that sort of is a nice to have. Number 3, offer premium. So this might be like a free gift. You get a free pen with this or a free case. 4, testimonials, not from actors. You want real testimonials from actual buyers, from actual users, from professionals. And you want professional endorsements. So, for example, from physical therapists. And you can also consider creating animated videos. So these are particularly effective. I mentioned earlier how I was able to create an animation that created a fabricated story around a hypothetical veterinarian. And that was one of the most effective videos I had for promoting veterinary software. Now, one little trick that you want to consider is that people think in $20 increments. So, some tests that were done with infomercials showed that increasing the price actually didn't decrease the number of people interested in buying it. So, for example, 29.95 is perceived by buyers as the same as 39.95. So, some price optimization tests will be effective in your marketing to really boost your profit when you're running direct response.